Lekker. Hi, this is Bruce. Yeah, my name is, I always thought like this, Jean-Michel Victor. I'm from South Africa. And yeah, we're talking about with Tourette syndrome and with my tics and facial vocal and what it's like in South Africa having Tourette's versus all around the world, you know. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Any questions?
So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm John Stenvall.
Yes.
I live here in Houston, Texas, in the United States. And what I think it's amazing about Jean-Michel is that we get to talk about Tourette syndrome all throughout the world. And so I've seen some of the posting and stuff that you've done on some of the Tourette's
Mm,
forums online. I see you do a lot of mountaineering and hiking like I like to do. And I was like,
yes.
you know what? I got to get to know this guy. And so I reached out to you and we became best friends over the internet.
That's it. And it works, eh? Communication. I won't lie to you. So the awareness in South Africa about Tourette syndrome is so limited
Mm,
that finding people with Tourette's and getting awareness around you, oh no, because many people don't know it yet. Where if you go looking like the States, and as soon as I launched my video and found the pages from Tourette syndrome awareness in America, and I thought, you know what, let me just try and post and get awareness. And it was amazing, the feedback. Like you don't feel alone,
yeah.
which is nice.
I felt it may be kind of like how it was for me, like in the 90s. So growing up, I was
Yes.
diagnosed with Tourette's in 99, I believe it was.
Okay.
Um, and you may notice like my Tourette's aren't nearly as bad as they used to be. I
Mm.
do a lot of,
Facial tics.
I still do a lot of facial tics and stuff like that.
Mm.
I do vocal tics when I'm alone by myself and a lot of times when I'm really stressed out. But a lot of the people that are around me, they never know because I figured out a way to hide a lot of it. I bottle it up and then I release it, when I'm on my own. But if you ever like put a camcorder on me, and people don't realize this, but if you put a camcorder on me when I'm in a movie theater, which I see a lot of movies, that's what I do for a living. Um,
Yes.
I always like am scanning left to right in the corners and blinking and stuff like that. And so like I actually tick pretty bad in movie theaters, but no one's looking at me, so nobody notices.
Exactly. It's the
So
same. It's
I
the
have like
same
a
with
safe
me.
space.
No, no, mine. No, no. Unfortunately, I was grew up in the '90s, diagnosed in 1995, and with obviously facial and vocal. But mine over the years, it's been very bad in my teenage years,
Mm,
and I never took any medication. Just lived
same.
with it, and that was quite tough. Obviously, growing up as Africa, and it wasn't as known as what it's now. A lot of fights, a lot of arguments. You have to be tough. And also today, I know when I go shopping and I blow kisses. So that's also one of my tics.
Mm,
So when I go shopping, I blow kisses. People look at me and I'm like, no, no, I've got Tourette syndrome. And they're like, and my also with the winking.
yeah.
Like I used to go out and then I wink at people. And then like the guy, he's like, why are you winking at my girlfriend? I'm like, no, no, bro, I'm not winking at your girlfriend. And some men in Cape Town, I wink at them too. And they're like, hi, I don't mean that, guys. I'm literally have Tourette's. I always introduce myself in crowds of people.
Mm,
Say, hi, everyone, my name is Jean-Michel Victor. And if you notice any tics, I have Tourette syndrome and ADHD. So I'm high energy and I try to keep it in like you do,
yeah.
but then it just comes out in a split
Overflow.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, vocal. I tried so hard. I've
My
tried. Do you also find when you're stressed, it gets worse?
Yeah, definitely. Like so I would say for me, I didn't even know I had it, We were filming a commercial. We were in Lubbock, which is a
Mm.
small town, smaller city here in Houston or in Texas. And we were at a restaurant filming a commercial, and the director kept saying, get him to quit making facial movements or whatever. And I never even knew I had it. And so that's when we ended up going and testing me for it. It progressively got worse from that period on.
How
Uh,
old were you when you were diagnosed?
I think 12. I was 12.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, which I mean, obviously there's a lot of hormonal changes and stuff that are happening
yes.
there. It's a very hard time, I think, for people of any age, you know? I
Yes,
mean, not of any age, but for anyone to go through that 11 to 14 age group, I think it's tough, period,
it's the
because of
hardest. Yeah,
the changes that we're all going through. And, a lot of us are transitioning between schools, going from lower elementary schools to a middle school, so we're changing our social structure, as well.
correct.
So I think it's tough for everyone. Uh, but for me specifically, that's when my Tourette's were the worst. I would screech, so I'd be like in class and I go like that, and they would think I was like trying to cause like disruption in the class,
Yes,
and they thought I was
12
just being,
years,
they thought I was being a class clown. And
every day of my life.
and they didn't
Oh,
realize what it was, and so a lot of times the teachers would kick me out of class. I would be sitting in the hallway, oftentimes crying because I was like, there's nothing I can do to help this, and they thought I was just trying to cause a ruckus. Um, and it was tough, but the thing is, when we went to go see the neurologist at the time, the guy who diagnosed me, he said that if I don't take medicine, because back then a lot of people they're giving Ritalin to everybody,
yes.
and they're like, if you don't give him medicine right now, it'll be a more difficult journey. But by the time he's 18, he has a higher chance of growing out of the majority of his tics, which is exactly what occurred. So I want to thank that doctor for not putting me on medication, because now I'm on television, as a career, and there's no way I would have the career I have now if I kept having tics like I do right now, so it's
Mm.
just the way it is.
No, it is. My childhood was similar, and I couldn't. I refused. I was 13. It was very bad. I was from the age of say 6 to 13. So listen, really bad, and facial and vocal. But
Mm.
I went on to Risperdal, and I used it for a day, and I said I'm done. I said I'm not. I didn't ever touch it, and I just lived with it. And the teachers, obviously, they got annoyed. For example, in high school. Uh, the kids wrote a petition to have me leave the school because I'm disruptive, because of my tics. And it was hard, I won't forget the first day of high school. So how they told the school kids and the staff I have Tourette syndrome is that the principal took me on stage the first day in front of all the school kids and all the teachers in the assembly and said, if this boy, Jean-Michel Victor, does this, blah, 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 like a clown, he went on, don't laugh at him. I sat there, I'm like 13 years old, everyone's laughing at me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, I'm sitting there and I think to myself, either I can decide to see this as a negative and cry and go in a corner. And I thought to myself, it takes people so many years to get known. It took me like 5 seconds. And I changed it into a positive. It wasn't easy. But my personality is very strong. My mom's Portuguese and my dad and them are Afrikaans. So we're very strong people, we like, that's it. And I just use it to my advantage at that point to get to know people. But inside the emotional, I only realized the traumas now in my 30s when I have kids, how I kept humor to just make myself feel better. And that hit me at the age of 30. And then I just broke down. I went for it. I'm 35 now, about 2, 3 years of really adulthood and being a father to actually dealing with all those traumas now and just, seek help and speak and just let it go. And that's why I started the podcast, just to share, because there's a lot of people out there dealing with the same thing and struggling.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's why also, I don't even have the Wim Hof method, the cold exposure. I've been doing that for about 5 years now. And
Has
that
that
has really helped me.
It has, the cold exposure's helped.
Cold exposure. I helped a guy in the United States. He was 19. He found me on Facebook and he started doing the Wim Hof through the Wim Hof groups. As I said, for Tourette syndrome.
Hmm.
That's the only thing that has helped me. Cold showers, cold exposure, being in ice baths. Um, I'm saying 2, 3 minutes at a time. So you get the dopamine and sterolene in the body goes, and you climb out because that's all you need. Not 10, 15 minutes to show that you think you're tough because you get hypothermia.
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing that. 2, 3 minutes, and that lasts me about 5, 6 days of being calm. And that's really why I go to the mountains a lot, also because the mountains really help me, as well. The running, the hiking, being in the cold during winter. It actually does make a big difference, a
Yeah.
huge difference.
For me, I mean, it's mountaineering and climbing has completely changed my life. It's changed my perspective on everything. Like they
Mm,
say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
all about that.
And
That's
that's what it's about. Not only has it put me, to closer with God, I feel like, uh,
amen, brother.
it it really forced me also to reapproach the way I look at life because
Mm,
in order for me to be able to prep for a climb, I ended up having to have, you have to have a regimen, you have to have a workout. But in order to be able to have the regimen and the workout, you got to get your work done as well. And so it forces
yes.
you to put the schedule and put everything in line. But when I'm out in the mountains, to me, that's what reality is. Like that is where we're supposed to be. We walk through the city, we walk through the streets, we're worried about our jobs, we're worried about this and that, and we think that's the reality. And to me, that's a false reality, a false perception that we've created as
Mm,
humans that creates a lot of stress and anxiety for us. But
yes.
I'm out in the mountains, it's a completely different release. I used to surf, so it's almost like that feeling surfing when you get up on a surfboard, and oftentimes the waves are, 5 to 10 seconds long, but it's that feeling, that 5 to 10 second feeling captured over an 8 hour period or multi-day period, because it
Yes.
completely disconnects you from the world, disconnects you from the surroundings. And to me, like it puts you in an
Go.
environment that I feel like I truly thrive in.
That's it. They call it your safe zone. So
Yeah.
many people think they see him in the mountains doing these things and saying, that's crazy. You're running alone in the dark. You hike, you summiting by yourself in the cold, but they didn't realize that's my safe zone. There I can be me. I can tick. Because there's no judgment. It's just, me spiritually, God, and connecting with all these elements. It's like you feel one,
Mhm.
and it's like my safe zone. When I get to the city, like you said, that's when things start going. There's too much happening. My brain just keeps going, and the things get worse because
Yeah.
there's nothing settling you down. It's it's like when I'm running down a mountain, and we've got a mountain here called Lion's Head.
Hmm.
So it's a short mountain. It's 300-meter elevation over 2.2 kilometers. So it's about 1.8 miles up, 300 meter,
Yeah.
and I got to run up and down. But it's such a steep mountain that one mistake, you step off the cliff, it's goodbye.
You're done. Yeah.
You're done. But I'm so focused when I'm doing that. I'm in my zone. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's when I'm
That's
at peace.
I totally get it. And like so I did this climb, it's called Kelso's Ridge and the knife edge. And so you literally climb across this knife edge and there's a 2,000 foot drop on each side, and
That's a lot, eh?
you have entire mountains straddling between your legs. And I'm climbing across it. I'm not roped in, anything like that. You're just crossing it. And people are like, you're crazy, how can you do that, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel so at peace because you're so hyper connected to the situation at hand that you're not
Exactly.
thinking about anything else. Like you are so dialed in. Like we're not ticking during that time. Like our
No,
body
we're
doesn't
not.
even think about ticks. Like we are so hyper dialed into those moments that we come at peace. And it's a very peaceful thing while
It
you're
is,
coming
eh?
across, because you're not, if you start hyperventilating, you start overthinking it, you start getting vertigo and over analyzing it, that's when you die. But
That's
if
you
you
sound just
just
like me.
but if you just
That's
focus and you get dialed in, you'll be fine.
I
So
think that's what's so good with people when I say I don't like the kids I see with Tourette's, they're a bit shy or ADHD, and I'm like, no, you guys, it's that's not the name for it, diagnosed. You're just different. We just think different.
Mhm.
Our brains are creative. We're innovative thinkers. We think out the box. So if there's a situation, we're not good at planning. We're not. I know but if there's a bad situation happens, we are the first one to focus and sort it out. We have a solution. And they're
Yeah.
like, where did that come from? You don't know. I said, no, but that's how our brains work. We see something happen, we analyze, we focus, and we get it done. We need that pressure. We need that pressure on us to calm us down.
It's
Because I've
weird.
seen this.
It's weird to have the pressure, but then like lately, like I've had so much pressure on me, that it's too much, not too much pressure, but there's at times where you have to pull back a little bit as well,
Yes.
because when I was in college, when I was at university, when I took 12 hours, so I would take, what was that, 4 classes, my grades wouldn't be as high as when I took what was considered 18 hours, which would be 5 or 6 classes. So when I had a
Mm,
super, super heavy load of classwork and work to do, I had no time to play around, play video games, go like do other things. I was just hyper focused on that semester at
yes.
hand, and I got great grades. But if it was kind of like I could have one foot in and one foot out, my grades would be terrible. I'd be going off. I'd be going to the beach, doing things like that because it wasn't a challenge for me. It has to be a challenge.
Yeah,
I
you're
do
right.
need that pressure. I almost need like my back against the wall, but it can't
Yes,
be to the point where it's suffocating.
correct. Yes, that's like now I'm doing my adventure mountain guiding course. So I'm following my dream. I've worked in retail 15 years and decided one day, I told my wife, either we're going to immigrate overseas or I'm going to open my own business. And I'm now left and I've registered my mountain goat guides in Cape Town and I'm doing my course and I'm going for it. I said to him, I'm 35 and this is what I'm going to do. I'm like, got some money in. I should be fine for the next 4 or 5 months. And I got faith there. I'm like, I want to go and show people the mountains. I want to get the youth, the teenagers to come with me and our energy and motivate and inspire them. And working a 9 to 5 for me was just for so long. Like you said, I give everything or nothing. There's no in between. I'm all in or I'm all out. I can't be 50-50. I'm just not like that. I'm not wired like that.
Yeah.
Oh
That's like
yeah.
when I started my company. So what I
Oh,
do is I started my company when I was 24. What we do is we go out and we interview actors for all the movies, a lot of
I
films
saw
coming
that.
out. And so we talk to all these different actors, directors, producers. We have a TV show here in the United States called The Backstage Experience. It's on Fox
Mm.
Television. It's all across the country now. Um,
I've
and
watched some. It's amazing.
dude, thanks, man. Yeah, it's
But now
crazy.
I
Like,
went in and I shared it to my whole family, bro. Like, take, I sent everything. I sent everything through to them. Now I was like, take, I was actually excited for this nice
yeah,
connecting. I think it's brilliant what you've done. Brilliant.
thank you. Yeah, I didn't even realize this world existed. And so like I was like you, like when we started the company, I had a real job, Uh,
Yeah.
I was doing finance and some stuff like that. That's what I went to school for, was for finance. And
Okay.
um I just want to do something different, I was like, I don't want other people to control my career path. Like, I want to control my own path, even if it means
Yes.
I have to work 100 hours a week and I'm making a third of the amount of money at first. If that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And so it paid off, it took a while, it took multiple years to get to the point to where we're at now, obviously. But I mean, now it's
No,
starting
it
to pay
takes
off.
time.
So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. We travel the world. I mean, if you name an actor, you name a director. I was telling you, like right after this, like I'm interviewing Vince Vaughn for his new Apple TV Plus series. My business partner is flying out to LA right now to talk to the cast of Borderlands, like with Kevin Hart. We've worked with Kevin Hart on like 13, 14 film projects now. Dwayne
It's
Johnson,
amazing, eh?
everybody.
And if you look back 10 years ago and someone told you you'd be doing this, you'd
I
probably
tell
be
them
like,
they're insane.
That's that's exactly when I was a teenager, I used to drink a lot. I was a hooligan. Everyone knows me from the past. I was you know, I was mad. I was really drinking. I was still smoking. Because the smoking actually helps me with the Tourette's, the nicotine neutralizers. So it's
Yeah.
like smoking or medication. Choose your. If I don't take any, I can be calm, but I go on a high, and it's like I get too excited. I'll be doing push-ups 2 o'clock in the morning, and running around the backyard chasing people. I don't know, it's like crazy. So I
Yeah.
need something just to keep me. I used to smoke so much cannabis back then.
Hmm.
Like I was going south, and with a family gathering, as you say, barbecue. We had a braai,
Yeah.
a braai. And they made a deal with me. I was 23, and they said, "Listen, I'll buy you a bicycle. We do this big cycle tour." And I was obviously tipsy, and I said, "Yeah, give me the bike. I'll do it. I like challenges." I finished it, and I thought to myself, if I can do this, what else can't I do? Then my life changed. I literally started running, doing triathlon, doing like races, and I actually was quite fit. Never trained in school. School, I just drank, partied like an animal. And my life changed after 24. And then I had a knee op when I was 20, I think 6 or 7.
Hmm.
And then I got into the mountains with a friend of mine, Aman Dolly, a Muslim friend of mine, great guy. And from there, it's been almost close to a decade. And now I've just decided I've got about 8, 9 years experience, and I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to follow my passion, and I just went for it. And
Us with Tourette's, I feel like we need an outlet, you know, like we
we
have
do.
so much. Someone used to call it for me, like, John, you have a lot of nervous energy. You know, you have all this, you're like a you know, you need somewhere to
I,
put it all, you know? And so
yes.
whether it's right now, it's been a lot of that energy has gone into work, you know, and growing
Mm.
my company. But it's also, you know, like going out, and my girlfriend thinks I'm crazy sometimes because like I won't work out for a while and then I'll go run like 8 miles, you know, and it's
I'm
just like
exactly the same.
she's like, how do you do that? Like she's like, I run two miles 5 times a week, and then like you just go out and run 8 miles and you haven't ran in 3 weeks. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just
you,
bottled up. It's something inside me. Like I just go, you know?
John, you make me laugh, because you make me laugh. Every year I run up and down lines there 24 hours. So last year I didn't train. And I told my mate, Marco Brandik, it's a big trail runner. I said, listen, let's go do it 10 times. We do ultra and we do it 12 hours. I haven't trained. I haven't like trained. And you summit the mountain. It's monotonous. So it's up and down. And by summit 7, he's like, yo, John. I said, no, summit 7, it's 30 Ks in, so about 20 miles, 15 miles. And I said to him, we get to 10, we just keep going. And I haven't trained. I just keep going, going. And after 10, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm done. Let's go for a beer.
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't trained. I'm like, no. And he ran 100 kilometers 3 weeks before we did this. So it was quite nice. He kept up with my pace. But it's true what you say. People are like, you don't train. I said, it's the energy.
Maybe
Oh,
it's the energy, but I
so
feel
rich
like
power. I don't know.
I think it's energy and power, but I think we've also dealt with a lot of pain. And so I think we're
That's true.
hardened, you know, to a lot of the mental and physical pain. And so a lot of times I'm just combating myself. You know, your worst enemy is in the mirror, you know? And
That
so
is so true.
I think a
We
lot of
really,
times we're just like, you know what? All right, my body's gonna give up right now. I don't care. Quit being a little
yeah,
punk, you know?
you are
And,
so right.
and
I
your
think,
brain is like, my brain's still going, but my legs are giving out, and you're gonna have to like drag me off this thing, you know?
that's exactly what it is. Yeah. How old are you now? If I may ask?
I'm 37.
Okay, okay, I'm 35. No, you got married? No, you got a girlfriend. You got no kids.
Girlfriend right now. No kids. One thing, I want kids, but I'm gonna admit it scares me because I've read that you have a 50-50 shot of having a kid with Tourette's, and
Yes.
I went through so much pain as a kid. I don't want my kid to have to go through that.
Okay. Okay. I've got a boy and a girl.
Do either of them have Tourette's?
My boy's got a little bit of tics, but listen to this. I was so scared of that. But my daughter was born with hemi-hypertrophy. I don't know if you heard of hemi-hypertrophy. It's also very big in the States. So half her body is enlarged to a left-hand side body. So he has 11.5 chromosomes. So I also I'm not doing any awareness on that now. It's still a bit fresh. She's 10. So with that basically, the whole right-hand side, she has to go for knee surgery now again in August, next month, September, where they put plates into the knees. They drill. She had it done when she was 8, and they closed the knee growth that the right leg, the left leg can catch up. So
Yeah.
I was also scared of Tourette's, and then boom, when we found out, we were like blood tests every 3 months, cell growths for cancer. So and that also came into my life, and that was also like how many more knocks, like,
Yeah.
and it just keeps you going stronger. You just gotta, but now, but I raised her how I wanted to be raised in a way. So
Yeah.
I let her to do sports. I made her do gymnastics. She's very, she's an introvert, extrovert, but I'm supporting her, saying she's fine. You're not different. You are just like us. So I say you're half your mother and you're half your father, 100%. You are a bonus. And she's such a light. She's happy. She talks about it, a small hand and a big hand, and we're open about it. We don't. And I think if I was raised, or if not raised, if our time was like that, where we
Yeah.
knew and we raised, it's okay, things would have been a lot different.
I
So
think
I've
we've
learned a
come,
lot with the
I,
kids.
yeah, I think we've come a long way, like as a society, to where,
Yeah,
you and I have been through the rough, like we've been through.
yeah, yeah.
And so like the cool thing is if we do, or like if I end up having a child with Tourette's, is that one, we know what to look for, but two, we also know what works and doesn't work, and we already know a lot of the outlets,
Yes.
so we can help guide them, that way. But then also, I think as a society as a whole, we've become a lot more understanding, because like what used to really bother me was, I mean, kids are still gonna be mean, don't get me wrong, but
Oh,
I think there's more awareness to things like Tourette's,
yes.
that I don't think it's going to be as rough as what you and I went through in the late 90s.
No, no, you're right. Will you ever tease?
What's
Did the
that?
kids ever tease you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like when you said the whole thing about the school, like I don't think it never went that far, but like there would always be like everyone else in class was laughing at me, and like I didn't know what it was, and the teacher wouldn't tell me either, like I wish the teacher like would have just told me straight up, like, hey, they're making fun of your ticks, or like something like that, but like I had
Yeah.
no clue what it was. And so like I really really felt like an outsider until, I would say, I played football in 7th and 8th grade. So when I was like 13, 14, I played football, American football, which helped,
Yeah.
build some team unity and get some friends and stuff like that through that, even though I was super small and scrawny and all that. Um, but I felt like a true outsider, I would say, until like my sophomore year of high school. So until I was like 15,
What year? Oh,
16,
sophomore. Okay.
15,
Okay.
15 of, yeah.
Okay.
So until I was like 15 years old, I felt like a true outsider, 15, 16. But that's also like when my Tourette's started dissipating, as well.
Okay. Yes,
So
you're great. You're lucky there. Eh?
yeah, they weren't, plus like it was a point where a bunch of schools came together.
Good.
And so
Good.
instead of just having like
Woo.
1/4 of a school like portion,
Oh,
they all came
yeah. Mm.
together, and so you had all these new people, and so they had never known or met you before, and so it's like you had a fresh start,
That's
which
nice.
helped, so they weren't judging me from things I did, ticks and stuff, when I was
Yeah.
11, 12 years old. Um,
And that's nice. That is different.
yeah,
It is. I used to fight all the time. Like, first fight, I was always in trouble.
yeah,
Fighting. Folks make fun of me. I'll punch him in the face. I never, a guy, there could be 6 of them. And those who are watching this podcast will tell you, they'll comment, I never took, no, I just walked in and I headbutt you. I didn't accept any of that nonsense. But my father taught me like that.
yeah.
And
I
my
didn't
family
get,
were
I
like,
didn't get to. I didn't get to. My mom was a school teacher in the school system,
oh, is it? No, I was always in trouble, eh?
and I didn't want
Violent,
to.
eh?
I didn't want to make her look bad, so I had to take it with a chip on
But
my.
it's good.
you know.
That's why I teach my kids, don't do it. It's not, you get a reputation. Like people would like, they will make, I say, you guys, we can laugh together,
Mm.
but I know when you're laughing at me. I was about 12 and and people making fun of me and I would go and cry. And then one day I just got tired of it. And I'll never forget this. The guy came to me, he's older than me, and he made fun of me and everyone started laughing and I just hit him. Which I don't say you must do. This is violence is not good. This is how we dealt in the 90s
Yeah.
with bullies. It was different back then, you know.
Recess. We call it recess in the States. I don't know what
We
y'all call
said, yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, we settled things the old way. The guy on the ground was wrong. It was very, very barbaric, you know. But this is how
Lord
in
of the
South Africa,
Flies.
Lord of the Flies, you know. In Afrikaans, they say ons gaan vir jou donder, you know. It's Afrikaans is a very strong language.
Yeah.
And after that, everyone started being like, and I was friendly, so I had a lot of friends. Funny enough, I had a lot of friends, and I still do. But and they would always protect me. So if someone made fun of me, they would come up and support me, and
Mm.
which was great. So you build up this whole friendship. And when I met my wife when I was 13. She's
Oh,
seen
wow.
my ticks. Yeah, we've been together for 21 years,
That's amazing.
and my wife was the only one. She always says she fell in love with me the first day she saw me.
Oh,
So yeah, it was quite funny. I was 13 and we started dating from there. And she's seen me from there till now. She's been through the worst. And she would always tell people as well. They would look at me and say, oh, Tourette's. And remember, we go out to functions and I'll laugh. And then they see my wife come next. She's very beautiful. She's stunning. And she would come stand next to me and people would be like, the guys would all be like, I say, who's laughing now? You know, so I would use that now as a defense,
yeah.
not fighting anymore. Because it's pointless, you know, it's love, man. Now I give a guy a hug. Like, don't worry, bro. I understand why you laugh. Like, it's different for you. How was your childhood? Let's talk about your traumas, you
That's the
know,
thing is like a lot
psychology.
of us, we didn't realize that as kids that like a lot of times the people that were bullying us were the ones that were being bullied at home when we never knew that.
Exactly. We
You know?
didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm friends with most of all the guys now, so which is
Same.
great.
Same. The what are your thoughts on like the future of Tourette's? Because this is something that I think about a lot, you know, as I build our company and like what I want to do with philanthropy and, you know, the future. Because I want to find a way because we're still really trying to like hone in what causes Tourette's, you know, in the first place. There's some, it could be a protein. There's a lot of
Yes.
research that's happening, you know, right now, but
Yeah.
like nothing has been definitive yet. Um,
Correct.
and I feel like a lot of people that have Tourette syndrome are, and this may be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think a lot of people
Go for it.
are over medicated, you know, especially here in the
Mm.
United States. I think that we got to find the root cause, you know, of what's causing this. And then what inputs are we doing in our daily lives that we can help mitigate some of these stressors or what, like, is it something that's in our food, for example? Is this something that we're drinking? You know, like we don't know these things yet, you know.
Yes.
A lot of people, not a lot, but there are definitely people in the Tourette's community that without a doubt need um,
Mm.
like a medication, you know, that will help mitigate the Tourette's because they cannot go through their daily life. But
Yes.
people that are in situations where we're on, say, the bottom 50% or at least bottom third of Tourette's, you know, when it comes to the stressors and the tics and all that, do we need to be put on these medications, you know, all the time? Because you and I, we never took the medications, you know.
I never took medications, but I can
We-
tell you what does work.
Yeah.
Healthy diet is very important. What you eat and consume, 30 minutes a day exercise, and cold exposure with cold showers.
Yeah.
And being in an environment that's good for you. So
Hmm.
when someone with Tourette syndrome is feeling emotionally doesn't he knows he's not welcome in the area, or he's at work, or he's under stress. We can't hide our feelings. It comes out via facial and vocal tics.
Yeah.
Where someone that doesn't have that can hide it. We can't.
Yeah.
So you need to also look at the environment. You also need to get them involved in activities. It's very important. Look, at the moment, we know it's not going away. So now we need to know how we're going to control this and how we're going to get to a point where we can keep it on a level. And unfortunately, the medication, which I have an issue with young kids, they start taking these meds from the age of, say, 8 years old to 15, 16 years old. So now what happens is when they turn 18, they're off the medical aid in South Africa. They can't afford this medication anymore. His tics come back to when he was a teenager because he
Yeah.
can't afford the meds. And it becomes a vicious circle. So
And
you need to,
it rewires the brain. It causes other issues,
exactly,
which you end up having to take other medication
anxiety,
for. Yeah,
gut
exactly.
issues, liver issues, kidneys. I can go on and on and on. Urine issues, bladder issues. So, yeah, and I still, like you say, you got to find something that when someone with Tourette's does what they love, they tick a lot less. I'm sorry, and when they with hyper focus, when they're in an environment where they're loved unconditionally,
Yeah.
because I don't even know when I'm ticking. I used to know when I'm ticking, but no one here says a word. Like you say, only when I watch videos, I pick up how I tick. I'm like, did I do that? I didn't even know I did that. I tell myself I don't have Tourette's. Might sound crazy, but when I go out, I tell myself I don't have it. It doesn't bother me.
Because the thing too with Tourette's is it's like a marionette string, like a puppet, like you're controlling a puppet. Because
Yes,
when you pull on one string, for example, I went to a neurologist a couple years ago. As an adult. It was my first time to go back to a neurologist as an adult with Tourette's. And I was like, hey, I want you to go through, I want you to run tests on me, like I'll pay for whatever it takes. Like I'll pay for brain scans, like whatever it takes. Like I want to get down to like the root of like what's causing
yes.
this to occur. And they had no interest in that. Like I was like, I don't care what it costs. Like we'll pay it. But they were more focused on throwing me on a certain medication. I'm not going to name the medications, but on a certain medication to deal with an issue that I wasn't even concerned with, which was ADHD. The doctor is like, I want to put you on this ADHD medicine to work on your ADHD. But the thing is it'll likely increase the amount of ticks you have because it's like a marionette
That's
string. You pull on the ADHD and you fix the ADHD, but maybe the ticks come up, or you fix the ticks, maybe the OCD comes up, like or the anxiety.
but I'm
It's all
so excited.
interconnected. And what really irked me, was like I'm not coming to you for issues with ADHD. I'm coming to issues with the Tourette's, the tics. I had noticed that due to stressors in my life, some of them
Oh,
had been increasing. What can we do
good,
with
good,
this? And they
good.
had
Yeah.
no interest in that. It was like, and they didn't even run any tests. That was the whole thing. The doctor came in for 5 minutes, wrote a prescription, and wanted to give it to me. And I was like, I'm not taking that. No, like I know what that is. Like yeah, I know what it is, and I'm like, I'm not taking that medication. I feel like with someone like me, I can still go out and I can live my life doing that. There are people out there that are going to look at this in the Tourette's community that are going to highly disagree with me, which is fine,
That's fine.
which is absolutely fine.
I've had it for
Each their
20,
own,
I've had Tourette's
but
20,
with
20,
but
I
if
agree with you.
But if you have very, very high-end Tourette's where you literally cannot function, you cannot go to work, you can't maybe drive without your medication, then absolutely, you know, that 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 group of the Tourette's community should, without question, if they feel that's what they need, then take that. But I feel like a lot of us, in a way, and I feel like this is with like just the world in general. We love to take a pill to fix a problem without ever addressing the actual issue. And the analogy I use is like, say you have a wound on your arm or your body, okay? Taking a pill is like putting a band-aid on it. What we need to do, and this is the hard part, is you actually need to go in, you need to wash the wound out, you got to sew it up, you got to treat it, you got to take care of it.
Correct,
And it's going to hurt, putting that alcohol in there, cleaning all that, it's going to hurt.
correct.
But I feel like a lot of us, what we do is we get Band-Aids and we just, as a pill, we put Band-Aid upon Band-Aid
That's
upon
exactly
Band-Aid. And then over time, what happens? It all just becomes a bloody mess and the whole thing falls off and the actual root issue is never addressed, you know?
correct.
And so I feel like with a lot of things that come with mental health, not just Tourette syndrome, but in general, we can't just keep like feeding us these medications. We got to dive in further. And like you said, we got to put in the hard work. We got to put in the exercise. We got to eat correctly. There
Oh,
may be certain
100%.
things that we're eating that we can't eat that are causing issues, you know? And it may be like a friend of mine, for example, I'm not going to say who this is, but a friend of mine can't have gluten, and they kept having issues with with having strength and working out, and stuff like that. Turned out they're allergic to gluten, and once they realized that, they were able to adjust their diet and they're fine now.
Correct.
And it could be something as simple as that, is that there may be something that we're eating or we're drinking or that we're doing that may be, pulling on the strings a little bit harder than they need to be. Um, Whereas if we just find out what that root cause of Tourette's is, and I think that's the most important thing that we can do with Tourette's research right now, is
100%.
is finding out the root cause. Because once I started diving down this path, where I thought we were in neurology and like brain science and stuff like that, I thought we were so much further along than where
We're
we
not at
are.
all.
Like we're like
Uh,
what I pictured us being like in 1955 is like where we are now, and that's scary.
It's,
Like that
no
is
one can
really
tell me.
scary.
There's no research done on it.
There is
It's like
so
you
little
say,
research, and like now with the use of AI and mapping and everything like that, like we got to start figuring out like what are causing these root issues. And then this is a big thing, like what I'm going to end up investing a lot of my money into in philanthropy is figuring out what the root issue is. How is it that with people with Tourette's right now, how can we find a natural way, a program maybe, to help, whether it's working
that's
out,
it.
stuff like that, but foods, things like that, without taking the medicine. How can we get 80% of the way there or 90% of the way there? And then if you need the medicine, then you put the medicine in there to get you
Small
over the
dosages.
edge. Small dosages. Yes.
I think that's the key. Small dosages, not this
Yes.
big. I agree fully with you. Find the core. I've also tried to do so much research, but I always get stuck at proteins in the brain, the neurons that's firing, misfiring.
Mhm.
Um, I always tell people that ask me, what is Tourette's like? So I tick. I say, basically, try not to sneeze. Hold the
Yeah.
sneeze in. They're like, "What? That's Tourette's. You can't stop it. And the more you try and hold the sneeze in, it builds up pressure. The more you want to sneeze. That is what a tick feels like. And like you say, I watch a lot of social media and I see people with Tourette's around the world that are putting on video. I say it's great. It's great. But what upsets me about that is they, it's humor. People are laughing, leaving comments. They're not saying anything. They're using the Tourette's as make them famous. It's funny and all that. But for someone like me, who's done so much years of healing and trying to figure this out, it's not helping. And I get annoyed with that point of social media. Rather go and discuss your Tourette's than make jokes. And then people comment that, on TikTok, they comment back and like, how do you get tattoos if you have Tourette's? And the guy goes in and then they do a tattoo and then it's all like, I'm like, guys, I get it. And then they're like, my tics is so bad. But then they're eating McDonald's. Then they're not training. Then it's
Yeah.
go and, like I say, do the work and find natural organic ways. Start with that first. Small changes is very important. They want it too fast, too quickly. And there's no such thing as a quick result. It took years for me to get to my tics on now. Years
Yeah.
of training.
And it comes down to management, like we said, like we find a way once we can find that route, like right now, what people like you and I are doing is like we're testing things out. We're trying to see what works and what doesn't work. And there's a lot of people in the community that are out there doing that right now,
Yes.
and maybe what we need to do is find a way for us to put all of our information together as well,
Together, yeah.
and
I think that will be brilliant.
start finding a way to, really maybe help dial it in some, to like what is causing this. Because then down the road there becomes a question. And here's the question. Because in a way too, I feel like Tourette's is a superpower because it gives us a way to look at the world like no one else can. We've been through the ringer and back. It allows us to see from different perspectives. And so in a
Yes.
way it is a superpower, but then it also is there's days where I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy as well, you know.
Yeah, I also when I have to I hit myself sometimes.
Yeah.
That was my hardest. And my worst tick was this. I would show people middle finger.
Mhm.
Now you go out doing this everywhere, like Mr. Bean in the movie. You know, that was I'm going to fight. So watch middle finger. I'm like, bro, I got Tourette's. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is that? I'm like, well, nah, let me explain to you. The neurological problem in the brain, they don't want to hear that. They like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, finding the call and giving awareness. And if people understand, they'll treat us different. They'll, you know.
Here's the question. Say we do get to the point 25 years from now where we can figure out, what it is, what's causing it, and all that, and we can use CRISPR technology. And so, say we can detect in the fetus whether a child at, 12 weeks is going to have Tourette syndrome. Giving the parent the option to be able to use CRISPR technology and get rid of that disorder. Is that something that we give people or not? That's another question, I wouldn't be the person I am today without Tourette's. And so it's very hard
That's
for
what
me.
I was
It's
about to
very
say.
hard for me to say that. But, also the suicide rate among people with Tourette syndrome is like three times any like the average, it's much higher.
I didn't know that, eh?
Yeah,
I
as
didn't know that.
well. And so it's
Okay,
like,
so little people have sister rates in South Africa compared to the States. So we're obviously less people. So I didn't know that. Geez, that's quite high.
yeah. And so the question is like, do we give do parents should parents have the choice to like not have Tourette's? And this is super controversial too, obviously.
Mm.
I don't know what the answer is because it's hard for me to say, even as somebody with Tourette's, because like I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for Tourette's. But then also there's days where I can't even function. And people don't even know this. People are going to be shocked hearing this, because I'm like,
Yeah, because
yeah, I
you're
do all
being
this stuff
it's
and all that.
vulnerable.
But there's days that
Well
I
done.
completely shut down within myself that I can't even function due to the stressors and anxieties of Tourette's and everything else. And I feel like I could be even so much further along if that hadn't held me back. But then again, maybe I wouldn't even be where I'm at now if it wasn't for
That-
Tourette's.
that-
So it's who knows,
That's why that's exactly my same thinking as yours. I'm like, I said, guys, like I wouldn't know who I am. I accepted my Tourette's when I was young, very young, say 16, 17. I accepted it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to accept this. And like you say, I don't think I would be who I am without it because it was hard, but it also taught me resilience, taught
Hmm.
me um, become self-reliant, and it made me strong emotionally. I'm a very emotional person. Portuguese, we're from Madeira, we're passionate, we love people, we're loud. We're almost like, I don't know how to explain, like the Italians in America. It's very similar.
Yeah.
If you watch the movie, my family is very much like that. We're very out there. Everyone's fighting and then hugging and kissing and then fighting and then making food. So it's loving and making fun of me and then loving me and then all the same. But I don't know. I think yeah, like you just said there, it would be what decision would you take? But I wouldn't want to if there was a pill or medication to tell me today, Jean, I'm going to give you this medication, but the Tourette's will be gone. I wouldn't take it.
Mm.
Funny enough, I wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of me. It's who I am, and it's like living with someone else. I don't know how to explain it. It's letting go of your identity. I think it'll be a very big emotional change. You think you want it gone, but then when it is gone, what then?
Yeah.
You brought up a very good point there.
Yeah, I think with people like that have already been, and this is just like us, talking about potential, 25 plus
Yeah,
years from now. Um, I think once you're born with it, you're born with it, and it comes down to management. So I
yeah,
don't know if we'll ever have something where like maybe there is a way, who knows about technology in the future where you could take a pill and boom, it's gone. You know what? And like you said, I probably would not. Take that pill more than likely.
I couldn't.
Um, if I could reduce, some of the anxiety and some of the depression at times, that would help. But,
Yeah,
other than that, when it comes to the actual Tourette's itself, I don't know. Um, but then the question is like just being born with it, that that
you know,
that's that's the question. So
you know what makes the big change for me is when I've got two kids and a wife, and when you have a family and you're married, and you almost don't have time to think about that because
yeah,
it's your kids come first, then your wife, then you you stop living for you. You still get time to do what you do,
yeah,
but it's different. And I have changed because it was always about me and how I feel before I had children with my wife. Now it's how do the kids feel and how they're doing. So which is nice in a way because you don't focus so much on everything in your mind because you don't have time to.
mhm,
And when I get to the mountains, that's when I process me. That's me, and that's why I like to go alone when I run. I love taking people and
same.
but I need to be when I go and run and I run say 10 miles, 8 miles in the mountain. I need to be alone
Yeah,
just so I can process everything in my mind, the anxiety, the depression, because I'm a happy go guy. I'm happy, but I'm also had a very bad, not bad, it's difficult childhood, which I still am dealing with now with Tourette's and father figure would be, and all of that, divorce home, father died at 38. I can give you my one day with my whole life. But those traumas, I go and deal with it there. And when I get back, I'm like, you know what, Sean? You're okay. But I need that. That's my medication.
yeah.
If I don't do that for 2, 3 months, I go crazy. I start going into depression. I start going into anxiety. I start going into these things because I'm not processing it. There's too much going on. I need to escape. That, yeah, that's my medication. The mountains is my meds, and it works. The less I'm there, the worse it gets. As soon as I'm there, just 5, 6 hours and I'm back. It lasts me a week. I need to be there. It's like a drug. That's my drug.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, I'm going to Colorado, on Thursday, so to go,
Oh, wonderful.
I'll be out there for 5 days. That I haven't been doing it as much lately. But going into like maybe halfway in the pandemic, I was trying to get out there maybe 3 times a year, if not 4 times a year, because I tell people it's where I go to refill my soul.
Amen, brother. That is, and that's why I like the mountains is like 15 Ks. What's 15 Ks? The 10 miles
Oh,
from my house?
dude, yeah, I'm gonna have to move next door to you so we can just go.
Literally, I'm 10 miles. So I drop the kids off at school tomorrow and I'm going to the mountains. I'm going to set up some belay. I'm going to go spend 2, 3 hours in there. And
Nice.
then I've got Table Mountain and Lion's Head and Devil's Peak. And I'm back home, pick up the kids at 3. So I am blessed. We got mountains all around Cape Town. And yeah, it's what saved me, eh? It's literally, and I'll be watching on Facebook when you go up to Colorado. I'll check out those pics. They must
Yeah,
get some runs in there.
we're hoping the weather's gonna be good. The weather is looking a little iffy right now, but either way,
No such,
whether we get the summit or not, we're gonna get to get up there and have some
yeah,
fun. So
yeah. Sat was away the weekend. I didn't get to the summit either, and I was with 9 people, and they were like with my Tourette's. And what amazing what was with them, the team. No one spoke about it. No one asked about it, and it was amazing that no one cares. Well, it was nice not being, this is like John, you normal. And that is the secret to me. I can tick as much as I want. I can scream and as I want in the mountain with me. They don't acknowledge it. They don't think I'm crazy. And I just thought, I'm ticking and they're talking to me as if I'm normal. And that is what makes me feel I don't have it.
yeah,
And that's the mindset I have. I have to, we survive, bro. We have to survive.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. I mean, like, even when you're having your bad day, it's just give it one more day, you know? Like it was there's a Christopher Nolan quote from Dark Knight, that is the night is darkest before the dawn, you know? So I was like, no
Nice and
matter
fast.
what you're going through at a time, the light will rise at the end, like you will be fine.
Always
Just keep going, you know?
keep going.
Yeah.
Like Forrest Gump says, life's like a box of chocolates. I love that movie. Run, Forrest. I just keep running, man. I live
Yeah.
on that movie.
Yeah.
Keeps me going.
Well, I
No,
appreciate it,
no, it's,
bro. Thank you for
no,
having
I
me
really
on
do.
the podcast, dude.
No,
It's been
it
great. I've
was
never really
great.
talked about this. This is my first time ever, to
Well
really come
done.
on and talk about it. I've
I,
I've talked about it a little bit on TV before, but nothing into this detail, And like I've said before, like people out there, if you are taking medication, obviously keep taking it. We're not medical advisors in any way.
no, we're not.
You know, we're just sharing what we've learned through our own experiences. Everyone needs to go through and, meet with doctors and do whatever, their doctor recommends and just do what you feel like is best for you.
Correct.
Um, I am very interested in trying. I was doing a little bit of the ice plunges a few years ago, and I'm gonna start doing that again. I'm gonna try that out and maybe get back more on a routine of doing that as well.
I promise you.
Yeah.
Cold showers every day and just cold showers, except 2, 3 minutes. I do it. I was now in the mountains and I went into the mountains and I went into the river just for 3 minutes and it was cold and I came back and then I was fine. You'll feel it. You just keep on doing it. It's almost like medication. You have to keep on doing it. As soon as you stop, it stops. So people always think if you do the organic way, natural way, it's the same as medication. You still got to do it 2, 3 times a week to
Yeah.
stay on page. I don't, it's the same. You can't just do it once, think it's going to be fine.
Perfect.
Consistency.
I appreciate it, brother. And
No,
at
thank you,
some
man.
point, at some point, I'm gonna make it out to South Africa, and we're gonna go.
You come through. I'll take you on the mountain.
All right. Take care, brother. Later.
All the best. Cheers.